Edgar John Bergen was an American actor, comedian and radio performer, best known for his proficiency in ventriloquism and his characters Charlie McCarthy and Mortimer Snerd. He is also the father of actress Candice Bergen. He died on September 30, 1978, in Las Vegas, Nevada due to kidney disease. Early life. Bergen was born Edgar John Bergen in Chicago, Illinois, one of 5 children and the youngest of 2 sons of Swedish immigrants Nilla Svensdotter and Johan Henriksson Bergen. He lived on a farm near Decatur, Michigan until he was 4 when his family returned to Sweden where he learned the language. He taught himself ventriloquism from a pamphlet called The Wizard's Manual when he was 11 after his family returned to Chicago. He attended Lakeview High School. After his father died when he was just 16, he went out to work as an apprentice accountant, a furnace stoke, a player piano operator, and a projectionist in a silent movie house. The famous ventriloquist Harry Lester was so impressed by Edgar that he gave the teenager almost daily lessons for 3 months in the fundamentals of ventriloquism. In the fall of 1919, Edgar paid Chicago woodcarver Theodore Mack $36 to sculpt a likeness of a rascally red-headed Irish newspaper boy he knew. The head went on a dummy named Charlie McCarthy, which became Bergen's lifelong sidekick. He had created the body himself, using a 9-inch length of broomstick for the backbone, and rubber bands and cords to control the lower jaw mechanism of the mouth. For college he attended Northwestern University where he was enrolled in the pre-med program to please his mother. He switched to speech and drama but never completed his degree. He gave his first public performance at Waveland Avenue Congregational Church located on the northeast corner of Waveland and Jansen. He lived across the street from the church. In 1965, he gave the church a generous contribution, a thoughtful letter, and a photograph of himself which had been requested by the minister and was displayed in the church's assembly room which was dedicated to Bergen. He cut out an R and E G from his family name and went from Bergen to Bergen on the show bills. Between June 1922 and August 1925, he performed every summer on the professional Chautauqua circuit and at the Lyceum Theatre in Chicago. Bergen had an interest in aviation, becoming a private pilot. The Chase and Sanborn Hour. His first performances were in vaudeville, at which point he legally changed his last name to the easier-to-pronounce Bergen. He worked in 1 reel movie shorts, but his real success was on the radio. He and Charlie were seen at a New York party by Elsa Maxwell for Noel Coward, who recommended him for an engagement at the famous Rainbow Room. It was there that 2 producers saw Bergen and Charlie perform. They then recommended him for a guest appearance on Rudy Vallée's program. Their initial appearance was so successful that the following year they were given their own show, as part of the Chase and Sanborn Hour. Under various sponsors, they were on the air from May 9, 1937 to July 1, 1956. The popularity of a ventriloquist on radio, when one could see neither the dummies nor his skill, surprised and puzzled many critics, then and now. Even knowing that Bergen provided the voice, listeners perceived Charlie as a genuine person. But only through artwork rather than photos could the character be seen as truly lifelike. Thus, in 1947, Sam Berman caricatured Bergen and McCarthy for the network's glossy promotional book, NBC Parade of Stars, as heard over your favorite NBC station. Bergen's skill as an entertainer, especially his characterization of Charlie, carried the show. Bergen's success on radio was paralleled in the United Kingdom by Peter Brough and his dummy Archie Andrews. For the radio program, Bergen developed other characters, notably the slow-witted Mortimer Snerd and the man-hungry F.E. Clinker. The star remained Charlie, who was always presented as a highly precocious child, a debonair, girl-crazy child about town. As a child, and a wooden one at that, Charlie could get away with double entendres which were otherwise impossible under broadcast standards of the time. Charlie May I have a kiss goodbye, Dale Evans? Well, I can't see any harm in that, Charlie. Oh, I wish you could. A harmless kiss doesn't sound very thrilling. Charlie and Mae West had this conversation on December 12, 1937. Charlie: not so loud, Mae, not so loud. All my girlfriends are listening. Mae: oh, yeah, you're all wood and a yard long. Charlie: yeah, Mae, you weren't so nervous and backward when you came up to see me at my apartment. In fact, you didn't need any encouragement to kiss me. Charlie: did I do that, Mae? Why, you certainly did. I got marks to prove it. And splinters, too. Charlie's feud with W.C. Fields was a regular feature of the show. W.C. Fields: well, if it isn't Charlie McCarthy, the Woodpeckers' pin-up boy. Charlie: well, if it isn't W.C. Fields, the man who keeps Seagram's in business. W.C. Fields: I love children. I can remember when, with my own little unsteady legs, I toddled from room to room. Charlie: when was that? Last night. W.C. Fields: quiet, Wormwood, or I'll whittle you into a Venetian blind. Charlie: ooh, that makes me shudder. W.C. Fields: tell me, Charles, is it true that your father was a gate-leg table? Charlie: if it is, your father was under it. W.C. Fields: why, are you stunted spruce? I'll throw a Japanese beetle on you. Charlie: why, you barfly you, I'll stick a wick in your mouth, and use you for an alcohol lamp. Charlie: pink elephants take aspirin to get rid of W.C. Fields. W.C. Fields: step out of the sun, Charles. You may come unglued. Charlie: mind if I stand in the shade of your nose? Bergen was not the most technically skilled ventriloquist. Charlie McCarthy frequently twitted him for moving his lips, but Bergen's sense of comedic timing was superb, and he handled Charlie's snappy dialogue with aplomb. Bergen's wit in creating McCarthy's striking personality and that of his other characters was the making of the show. Bergen's popularity as a ventriloquist on radio, where the trick of throwing his voice was not visible, suggests his appeal was primarily the personality he applied to his characters. Bergen and McCarthy are sometimes credited with saving the world because, on the night of October 30, 1938, when Orson Welles performed his War of the Worlds radio play hoax that panicked many listeners, most of the American public had instead tuned to Bergen and McCarthy on another station and never heard Welles play. Conversely, it has also been theorized that Bergen inadvertently contributed to the hysteria when the musical portion of Bergen's show, The Chase and Sanborn Hour, aired approximately 12 minutes into the show. Many listeners switched stations and found the War of the Worlds presentation already underway, with a realistic-sounding reporter detailing terrible events. Ray Noble was the musical director and composer, and teenage singer Anita Gordon provided the songs on his show. Gordon was said to have been discovered by Charlie, who had a crush on her. In December 1948, Edgar announced he was temporarily retiring from radio, admitting that Stop the Music was too popular to compete with. His final NBC broadcast was on December 26, 1948. The Charlie McCarthy Show. In October 1949, Bergen went to CBS with a new weekly program, The Charlie McCarthy Show, sponsored by Coca-Cola. After their sponsorship ended in June 1952, Richard Hudnut, on behalf of Lanolin Plus Cosmetics, primarily sustained the series until the end of the 1953-54 season. In October 1954, Kraft Foods sponsored a new Edgar Bergen hour. After Kraft's departure, the series continued with participating sponsors as a 55-minute series in the fall of 1955. However, because more people were watching television on Sunday nights than listened to radio, the series finally ended on July 1, 1956. Comic strip. In addition to his work as a ventriloquist, Bergen was also an actor and comic strip creator. He established the syndicated comic strip Mortimer and Charlie, which ran in newspapers from July 1939 to May 1940. Illustrated first by Ben Batsford and then by Carl Buettner. Chase Craig is also believed to have had an uncredited role in the creation of the strip. The comic strip's writer was uncredited, but some of the gags certainly were lifted from the hit radio show. Films. Bergen and his alter ego Charlie McCarthy were given top billing in several films, including the Technicolor extravaganza The Goldwyn Follies, opposite the Ritz Brothers. That year they also appeared in You Can't Cheat an Honest Man with W.C. Fields. At the height of their popularity in 1937, Bergen was presented an honorary Oscar for his creation of Charlie McCarthy. Bergen, along with Charlie McCarthy and Mortimer Snerd, were also featured in the 1938 film Letter of Introduction. As an actor alone, Bergen portrayed the timid suitor of the sister Trina in I Remember Mama, and appeared in Captain China, The Hanged Man and Don't Make Waves. Other film roles for the team include Look Who's Laughing and Here We Go Again, both with Fibber McGee and Molly. Charlie McCarthy wore a U.S. Army uniform in Stage Door Canteen with Mortimer Snerd. Bergen and McCarthy were also featured in Disney's Fun and Fancy Free. He later played cameos in all-star films such as The Finks, One Ton Ton, The Dog Who Saved Hollywood, and The Muppet Movie. He had earlier appeared in a second-season episode of The Muppet Show, a highly acclaimed puppet television show produced by Jim Henson, who considered Bergen a major inspiration. A year after his daughter Candice, Bergen died shortly after making the film, his final public appearance, which was subsequently dedicated to him. In 2009, Bergen was featured in the comedy documentary I'm No Dummy, directed by Brian W. Simon. Television appearances. Although his regular series never made the transition to television, Bergen made numerous appearances on the medium during his career. In a filmed Thanksgiving special, billed as his TV debut, sponsored by Coca-Cola on CBS in 1950, the new character Podine Puffington was introduced. This saucy Southern belle was as tall as a real woman, in contrast to Bergen's other sit-on-the-knee-sized characters. On 26 December 1954, Bergen appeared on What's My Line as a mystery guest. Bergen also hosted the television game show Do You Trust Your Wife? In 1956-57, later succeeded, in a daytime edition, by Johnny Carson. He appeared in the Christmas 1957 episode of NBC's The Giselle McKenzie Show. In 1958, Bergen appeared with his 12-year-old daughter Candice on an episode of You Bet Your Life starring Groucho Marx. In 1959, he appeared in the second episode entitled Dossier of the NBC espionage series Five Fingers starring David Hedison. On May 21, 1959, he guest-starred with Charlie McCarthy on NBC's The Ford Show, starring Tennessee Ernie Ford. Bergen continued to appear regularly on television during the 1960s. He guest-starred as Charlie in the 1960 episode Moment of Fear of CBS's The DuPont Show with June Allison. He did a stint as one of the What's My Line? Mystery guests on the popular Sunday night CBS series. His colleague Paul Winchell happened to be a panel member during that episode. He also appeared on the NBC interview program Here's Hollywood. Bergen appeared as Grandpa Walton in the original Walton's movie, The Homecoming: A Christmas Story. The part was played by Will Geer in the subsequent series. Throughout the run of the Waltons, which took place in the late 1930s through the 1940s, the voices of Bergen and Charlie McCarthy were sporadically heard from the Walton family's radio, as family members regularly tuned in for that program. Family. In 1941, Bergen met 19-year-old Frances Westerman, who had graduated from Los Angeles High School the year before, in the audience of Bergen's radio program as the guest of a member of his staff. Sitting in the front row, the young fashion model's legs caught 38-year-old Bergen's attention and he asked to meet her. The two were married in Mexico after years of long-distance courtship, on June 28, 1945. On May 9, 1946, Francis gave birth to future actress Candice Bergen, whose first performances were on Bergen's radio show. They also became the parents of film and television editor Chris Bergen, born on October 12, 1961. Francis also became a successful actress, appearing in several movies, co-starring in the 1958 television series Jan C. Derringer, and guest-starring in numerous other shows. Death. It was in mid-September 1978 that he announced that he was retiring after 48 years in show business and sending his monocled, top-hatted partner to the Smithsonian Institution. He opened at Caesars Palace Hotel, Las Vegas on September 27 for a 2-week farewell to show business engagement. He died 3 days later on September 30, 1978 in his sleep of kidney disease at age 75. Today, the iconic wooden Charlie McCarthy rests in Washington, D.C.'s Smithsonian Institution. Bergen was interred with his parents, in Inglewood Park Cemetery, Inglewood, California. Edgar Bergen's wife of 33 years, Frances Westerman Bergen, died at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles, on October 2, 2006, aged 84, from undisclosed causes. She is also buried in Inglewood Cemetery. In 1990, Bergen was elected to the Radio Hall of Fame, the same year that The Charlie McCarthy Show was selected as an honored program. A message in the closing credits dedicates the Muppet movie to the memory and magic of Edgar. In 1991, the United States Postal Service honored him with a 29-cent commemorative stamp.